Hey VC, it's Record Teeb, Steve Dar on Facebook. For quite some time I've been wanting to do a video about a discovery that I made, starting with the purchase of this record by Eyes of Blue, called Crossroads of Time. It's their first LP, recorded, released in '68, produced by Lou Reizner. This story is as much about Lou, this video, as it is this band. When I got this record, I found a copy of it in Sallisaw, Oklahoma, and I was really happy to see it. It was cheap, like $1, and shrink wrap, but it was flawed and it had a number of problems. Fortunately for me, I had a copy of the record on the shelves at home as part of my late brother, thank you Dave, my late brother's collection. I had one record by them. I had their second album called In the Fields of Ardeth, but I'd never heard this one, and I really enjoyed it though. It's a little punkier, kind of garagey. Liner notes by Graham Bond. Graham actually wrote the title track. Graham talks about them here. In the British Isles, there's a place where there's a concentration of descendants from the original inhabitants of Britain. They have their own traditions, their own language, and something like 2,000 years of heritage of poetry and song. This is Wales. The Eyes of Blue, 6 young Welshmen, carry on the tradition of their forefathers in today's contemporary feel of music. Graham wrote the title track and another good album. What I was familiar with by them, their second LP, 1969, In the Fields of Ardeth. I'd acquired this back in the 90s, really enjoyed it, but I don't think at the time that I got it I really connected who these guys are. Because when I got Crossroads of Time, I started paying more attention. I come to find out these are guys who went on to be in bands that I love, like Gentle Giant, Help Yourself, Man, Ancient Greece, Wild Turkey. Just fantastic stuff. By the way, in the background, Buzzy Linhart from the Buzzy LP. Buzzy was an American musician, Greenwich Village folky, used to actually share an apartment, I believe, with John Sebastian, who went on to Loving Spoonful, and knew all those people, played with them. Worked on the Cosby Show, one of the iterations of Bill Cosby TV show. The reason I selected this is a sidelong raga called Sing Joy, is because Eyes of Blue back him up. And it's all the Lou Reizner connection. See, Reizner was an American A&R guy living, I think, working in Chicago, and took control of the UK division of Mercury Records. Cheers. When he went overseas, he signed acts like Eyes of Blue. But he had deep American roots, so he knew about people like him and wanted to record a Buzzy record, so he produced this album and put Eyes of Blue as the backing band. I don't think they're on this particular track, but that's beside the point. So the first record, Crossroads of Time, was released in '68. In the Fields of Ardeth came out in '69, but in between they made this record with Buzzy. This was late '68, and this I think was recorded late '68, '69. So these are kind of the first 3 shots out of the gate. They'd also done some soundtrack work. And the liner notes on the second one reference this. Liner notes are by Quincy Jones. Quincy explains that when he first went to London in '69, he spent some time at Reizner's apartment. Quincy was over there to score some films, and Reizner played him an Eyes of Blue tape. Quincy was impressed and actually used them on the soundtrack of an LP called Toy Grabbers, starring Wally Cox. Wally Cox is this nerdy guy, used to be all over US TV. Probably the last time I saw him when he was alive was on Hollywood Squares. I read a little about him. It's interesting. One of his best friends was Marlon Brando. Wally Cox is a little nerdy guy hanging out with Marlon. It was, man, yeah, I don't know. But apparently Quincy liked them so much that he used them in some of their own soundtrack, and there's a sample of that on here, a song called Merry-Go-Round from the film Toy Grabbers, which I can't find any info about Toy Grabbers. If anybody knows about Toy Grabbers, produced by Wally Cox, message me. I'd like to see the film if it exists. I suspect it may not really exist. I don't know. So they released those first two albums. The guys from Pickford Hopkins and John Pugwash Weathers merged with a band called Strawberry Dust and released another LP called Ancient Greece. Again, on the Mercury label, again, produced by Reizner. This LP I absolutely love. This one knocked my socks off when I first got it. It's very kind of laid back, West Coasty sounding, flowing lead guitar solos, plentiful use of Leslie speaker. It just, yeah, this is a swirly, cool, psych, laid back, proggy, but not, I wouldn't call it prog music. Actually, the second Eyes of Blue record, this one gets proggier than what you'll hear on Ancient Greece. The US version I was showing of the Ancient Greece record, kind of hard to find, but it's been reissued recently, and these are laying around. I believe this is probably the original cover. I'm not sure. It's certainly different than the US cover. Yeah, you can pick up the Ancient Greece stuff. Highly recommended. But they weren't done. So they did that in 1970. In 71, Reizner again pulling the strings because he's running Mercury. Under a pseudonym, they recorded the album under the band name Big Sleep. The album Bluebell Wood. This is the real prize of the lot. This one's very proggy. It's extremely good. There are some string arrangements on here, a different sound. And at this point, the band was Richie Francis, Phil Ryan, John Weathers, Gary Pickford Hopkins, and Ray Williams. Really good. This is a UK copy of this on an oddball label I haven't seen much, called Pegasus Records. Fantastic. I mean, to my ear, can't recommend this enough. Really good if you like, or if you've heard the Eyes of Blue stuff, the Ancient Greece. And by the way, I think there were only 2 countries this was released in. That was the UK copy. This is the German version of the Big Sleep record. Totally different artwork. Completely different label. Different track order, same music, I believe, but different order. And this one is on the Global label. I don't know, Global. I may have something else on Global. Sure don't know what it is. Not off the top of my head. Really good. Again, rare, expensive if you find it on the internet, but worth it. Big Sleep. They called it quits. And when they disbanded, Phil Ryan and Pugwash Weathers went to work with this guy, Pete Brown. Piblocto was the name of his band. Unfortunately, they didn't do a lot of recording with Pete, and I say that because I absolutely love Pete Brown. R.I.P., rest in peace, Jack Bruce. Jack and Pete together, I mean, the cream hits, right? Here's the guy who was writing the lyrics, Pete Brown. Love that picture of him. Obviously equipped with a talking drum hanging around his neck. That's what he played a lot on stage. But yeah, these tracks, Flying Hero Sandwich and My Last Band, feature our heroes from Eyes of Blue, Ryan and Weathers. Here's another Pete Brown collection where you can hear some of the Tablacto stuff. This is on the Harvest Heritage label. And those same two songs, Flying Hero Sandwich and My Last Band, are on here too. Anything you see by Pete Brown, if it's affordable, I would say grab it. But, you know, this whole rabbit hole that I went down is as much about Lou Reizner as it is about Eyes of Blue. And where those guys went on to Gentle Giant, Wild Turkey, Help Yourself, Man, Neutrons. I've owned most of those records for many years, and kind of backing into this and what the roots were was really a pleasure for me. But as I read more about it, I realized that all of that happened ostensibly due to the talent associated with those people, but because of Lou Reizner. So I started reading more about Lou, and I found out about this album. Dick Campbell sings Where It's At. Yeah, baby. That's on Mercury. And this was recorded, I believe, in '65. It's a really early record. What was interesting about it is, apparently, Reizner liked the sound of Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited so much that he hired the same band to play behind Dick Campbell. Mike Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Mark Naftalin. I mean, it's and also Pete Cetera plays bass on this record, who went on to Chicago. Great record, really 60s, kind of cheesy, but there are some original compositions here. And yeah, what got me about this is that when I read about it, the blog post even suggested, and Dick Campbell wrote this song, track 5, side 1, is called Aphrodite's Child. And I'm thinking, really? Apparently, according to legend, Lou Reizner named that band. That song, Aphrodite's Child, is on this LP. Then Reizner goes to England to run Mercury, one of the bands he deals with and signs, because they were certainly on Mercury Records overseas, is this band. Now I'm totally freaking out because I love this album and this band, and thinking that there's a connection that ties back in with Help Yourself and Man, Eyes of Blue, Big Sleep, etc., etc. But that isn't all he did. Reizner produced a lot of records, including this record, fantastic LP, Expressway to Your Skull, Buddy Miles, again, on the Mercury label, liner notes by none other than Jimi Hendrix. Reizner produced the Rod Stewart album. Great record. Early Rod Stewart records, fantastic. Incredible players. The tunes. Ronnie Wood, Martin Pugh, Keith Emerson, Mickey Waller. Yeah. Damn good album. Reizner was a visionary, though. He wasn't satisfied with just producing normal LPs. After the Tommy phenomena, Reizner was responsible for releasing this. This is the American version of the orchestrated Tommy. Features people like Maggie Bell, Sandy Denny. Fantastic package. You can buy these for under $10 in really nice collectible condition on eBay. Pick it up. Here's the box. But he wasn't done. I'm afraid that Tommy orchestrated version was kind of a flop. So was this. This thing got a lot of hate, panned by critics pretty much universally. And why? I don't know. What is it? It's 2 record set. This is a British copy. 2 record set featuring Beatles tunes. Performed by contemporary hit artists. People like Brian Ferry, the Bee Gees. Leo Sayer, Elton John, Ambrosia, Helen Reddy, Roy Wood, Status Quo, Henry Gross, Peter Gabriel doing Strawberry Fields Forever. Really? Are you kidding me? And we're gonna hate this? Pick it up, DC. This is another one that's out there for scant money. You can buy these pretty darn cheap with all the guts, and you're not gonna invest more than 10 bucks. Again, a Lou Reizner production. So like I said at some point, I don't know if this is about Eyes of Blue or Lou Reizner. I do know this. It's been a lot of fun finding these records, listening to them. I think that many of you would agree that they're great listens, great spins. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm probably going to do a part 2 that veers off more towards what the Eyes of Blue guys did after Big Sleep broke up and the Piblocto short-lived thing. But thank you for watching. I appreciate your time and attention. Keep spinning those crazy old records, and whatever you do, don't you ever stop buying those crazy old records.